Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Omni viewer, and I thought I would just give you a very quick glance at the art of Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019, because I did finally get my hands on a copy of this, and I know there's one thing in particular that I think a lot of you have been waiting for me to comment on, or at the very least, some of you may have been waiting for it, but I'll get to that when the time is right. So, this is the coffee table-sized art book of all the concept art, or at least a good chunk of it, for Godzilla King of the Monsters. And that's concept art for the sets, for the different monsters, you know the drill. Same thing as Godzilla the Art of Destruction for the 2014 film, or the Art of Kong Skull Island. And inside, you can see, what a coincidence, I turned right to this picture that's also on the cover. It's pretty good as far as the art goes. This, of course, is the iconic shot, but let's see what else there is here. There's a lot of text also included about the different parts of making the movie, but, you know, you won't actually be able to read most of it. Let's actually get to some of the stuff that's actually related to the monsters and the art itself. So when it comes to the art for creatures like Mothra, you can see they always stuck with the idea of giving her really large wings, having her be very insect-like, and may as well also address something else that came up just a couple of days before the movie was released. Remember when Sci-Fi Wire attempted to do that one article that spun things completely out of context in regards to quotes from Vera Farmiga? Well, another article was run that kind of went the same route with Mothra, trying to apply senses of feminism to her, talking about how she is at once a monster but also very feminine, and how they tried to keep her as this feminine-looking creature. As you can imagine, the article in question kind of tried to spin that in a third-wave feminist kind of way, but now that we have the book to actually provide context, we see that there really wasn't anything political or sociological about it. They just wanted to have Mothra designed in such a way that actually retained a sense of femininity while still being recognizable as Mothra. And I think, personally, they did a good job. Most people that I've spoken to say that the design either worked for them from the start, or if it didn't, it grew on them. But either way, that was the basic idea behind Mothra's design. With Godzilla, not a lot is spoken about in terms of designing him because, well, they already had a design from the last movie. So instead, a lot is spoken about the process of making him. But still, you can see there are quite a few shots that were done to sort of show how he should be framed. And you may notice a lot of the shots we'll see have, like this shot right here, we have him sort of surrounded by clouds, fog, and whatnot. That's present in a lot of these shots of the monsters. And I've noticed some people saying they didn't really like this choice because they felt like it obscured the monsters somewhat. I don't necessarily think that... Well, let me put it this way. It was a deliberate choice not to hide the monsters, but to emphasize what they were going for. The idea that they are godlike. By keeping them surrounded by storms and whatnot, it added a sense of the otherworldly to them. Like God appears in the clouds, you know. But I can get into more detail on that another day. Rodan actually went through quite a few changes, at least in terms of the wings. There are quite a few shots of him in here where his wings actually have feathers on them. Which, obviously, if you've seen the movie, you know he doesn't actually have feathers, though if you look at things like the Jax Pacific figure or the upcoming NECA figure, you'll see there's kind of a feather-like pattern on his wings. But early designs gave him full-blown feathers, and this look familiar? that maquette that was allegedly leaked a few months before we got our first trailer, that's it right there. So that was genuine. But also you can look here and you can see all the different silhouette designs that they went through for the wings. Some of them looking fairly prehistoric, some of them looking fairly bird-like, some of them looking just outright weird, like something out of James Cameron's Avatar. But yeah, I would say of the monsters, at least of the art presented in this book, it looks like Rodan went through the most changes in terms of the wings. And of course we have King Ghidorah, and from images like this you can see there was always the intention of having him surrounded by storms and clouds and lightning to create that sense of him being a more mythic creature. And interestingly enough, we also get something of a deleted scene, or at least a hint of one, in which they constructed a full-size tooth for Millie Bobby Brown's character Madison to back into, 12 feet tall, according to the text. And that's a tooth. So, yeah, it's a shame that was cut, because that really would have emphasized just how big Ghidorah is. But, you know, not everything can make it into the final cut. But if I had to guess, this is what I think most of you were waiting for me to comment on. Because in the days leading up to the release of this book, some images made their way online that purported to show other Toho kaiju and other studios kaiju as well, appearing in shots of concept art for the final shot of the film, the end of the Battle of Boston, where Godzilla asserts his dominance as the true alpha and the king of the monsters. The monsters that were specifically shown were Gigan, Kumonga, Anguirus, and, get this, Gamera. Yes, that Gamera, the one that everyone's wanted to see, but who is from a completely different studio, so there's been a lot of skepticism about. Well, now that we have the art book, see, I didn't actually want to say anything about it at first because I wanted to have this book in my hands so I could, one, confirm whether or not the images were genuine, and two, if they were genuine, see if there was any context provided. Well, I can confirm that this is Gigan. He is right there. Let me see if it focuses. Can you see him? I mean, it's hard to mistake that for anything other than Gigan. And next to him, that might be Kumonga, but it's really hard to say. I know that over here, that's Skyla, but over here, that might be Kumonga or it might be something else. I don't know, but that is definitely Gigan. As for Gamera and Anguirus, I do not see them anywhere here. They're not in this picture, they're not in any of the other pictures, and the sequence of the book pretty much goes in chronological order for the movie, so if they were going to be in this book, they'd be in the Battle of Boston concept art, and they are nowhere in here, not even in this shot. So, jury's still out on those at best. I would say the only two possibilities I can think of at this point for those images are either they're from concept art that was not approved for the book, or it's fan art that people wound up mistaking for the real thing, either by accident or design. Whatever the case, they're not here. But Gigan definitely is, and Kumonga might be. So, of course, that leads to the question of, does this actually point at something else? It wouldn't be art if we didn't ask what it means, right? We do know that Warner Brothers was negotiating deals with Toho to get other monsters to appear in Ready Player One. Among those rumored monsters was Gigan. Mechagodzilla is the only one who wound up showing up in Ready Player One, but there were always rumors of others, Gigan included. So, was there originally a plan to have Gigan in the movie, or was he just a placeholder in this image? Well, unfortunately, that context I was hoping for is not there. I did not see anything in the chapter, in the text part of the chapter, explaining why he's there. All I can tell you is that this really is Gigan. That much is genuine. So that's the quick overview of this book. If there's anything missing, I would say it's the design process for the other Titans that show up, like Behemoth, Skyla, Methuselah, you know, the new ones. The process of designing them is not in here. We may have to wait for the DVD release of that. But as far as designing the classic monsters, this book has us covered, and it's pretty interesting to look through and see. So, just wanted to give you a quick overview as far as this book goes. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, as well as subscribe to the channel for more content of a similar nature. Also, check the description for links to our Twitter, DeviantArt, and Patreon pages, as well as the Amazon link for the novel Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, penned by yours truly. Thank you all, and we appreciate your support.